Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit or Zappy here, back again with Attack on Titan Season 4. We are on episode 14, and I think we're at the summit now. And it's about to drop for the last time. Because we've only got 3 episodes left, which means we've got about an hour of actual time left to wrap up this story. And it feels as though we're like sort of on the verge of a 3-way battle almost, because you've got the Jaegerists who, you know, are alongside Zeke in Yelena. You've got the Scouts who, you know, is obviously being headed up by Hanji, Levi, Armin and Mikasa are on that. I mean, of course, they're friends with Eren, so it's a dramatic situation. But you know, I would say Armin and Mikasa are more like on the Scout side, of course, Jean, Connie. And then you've got the warriors from Mali who are coming over here pre the battle, like pre the actual war, right? And the thing is that because the warriors over in Mali didn't know anything about what Zeke was doing, it sets up this sort of situation for them coming here for what they... I don't know, because the main reason for them coming over here was to get Falco and Gabi, right? Now, I don't know. I mean, it's obviously not going to go that smoothly. They're not going to pick up Gabi and Falco and fuck off back to Mali and wait half a year and then come back and this war start. I feel like, you know, I talked about it in the last episode in my post-discussion, but my theory for the end of the show is that the reason Eren is doing, like, you know, being who he is right now is and, you know, not telling anyone. Now, he might tell Armin and Mikasa in this upcoming episode, but the reason I think he is hiding it from everyone is because I think he's trying to make himself a martyr. I think he's trying to make himself a villain as like a common enemy for Mali and Paradise to actually find common ground. That's what I think is... I mean, it makes sense to me, you know, but I don't know if like Zeke's in on that plan or not. It's just a tough thing to call right now. But yeah, because of this 3-way battle, it seems like it could be setting up for a point where the warriors and the scouts can actually find common ground, which will hopefully end up in peace at some point. And the reason why I think that that's the only plausible way to end this story in a like with actual peace in an hour's time, I think that's the only story that can be told that makes sense with who's where right now, you know? So yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, so we ended off the episode with Eren wanting to sit down and talk with Armin and Mikasa, and Gabi's there to listen to it all. So we'll see if Eren reveals the truth or what. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, so nothing else to really talk about, so we're just going to get in episode 14. As always, the reaction will be here on YouTube, but if for whatever reason, if it gets taken down for copyright later on, then I will re-upload this as the discussion-only video, and the link to the reaction will be in the description below. And as always, the link to the full-length reaction will be in the description below, so if you want to watch my reaction to this episode in full, and not just the cut 10-minute version, then the offer is there for you. But yes, nothing else to really talk about, so we're going to get in episode 14 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Savagery. Oh yeah, it's definitely kicking off. Especially with a title like that, has to.
静かに話したい。エルディアの問題を解決するのに争いは無用だ。
本当にジークやイエレナに懐柔されてしまったのか。
俺が何をしようと、何を選ぼうと、それは俺の自由意志が選択したものだ。
いいえ、あなたは操られている。あなたは敵国とはいえ、関係のない人々や子供を巻き込むような人じゃない。そして、誰よりも私たちを思い大切にしてきた。マフラーを巻いてくれたのはあなたが優しいからでしょ。
手はテーブルの上に置けと言っただろう。
Can hell, Eren's not playing around right now.
俺はレベリオでジークと話をした。兄弟水入らずでな、アルミ。お前はまだ兄のところに通っているだろう。それは本当にお前の意志か。
How does Eren know about that?
人を形成するのなら、お前の一部はベルトルトになっちまったんだよ。
I was talking about that
敵国兵に恋
some weeks
心を
ago.
抱く敵国兵にな。 敵に操られているのはお前の方だろう。
Wow, that's an interesting way to put it.
あなたは
ミカサ、お前もだ。
ミカサbeing
アッカーマン
manipulated.
一族はエルディアの王を守る意図で設計されたんだよ。戦えと。その瞬間、お前の本能が目を覚ましたんだろう。偶然俺を護衛すべき宿主だと錯覚したことでな。
What?
偶然じゃない。
Wow, that's mad.
力に目覚めたアッカーマンは突発性の頭痛を起こすことがよくあったらしい。本来の自分が宿主の護衛を強いられることに抵抗を覚えることで生じるらしいが、心当たりは
Does make sense.
本来の自分を失い、ただ命令に従うためだけに作られた一族。つまりは奴隷だ。
やめろエレン。
不自由なやつだよ。
Slaves.
もしくは家畜だ。そいつを見ただけでムカムカしてしょうがなかった。その理由がやっと分かったよ。俺はガキの頃からずっとミカサ、お前が大嫌いだった。
Fuck hell. Forced to protect him. Oh, fucking hell, man.
お前はただそうやってアッカーマンの血が反応するままに生きてきた。
This is crazy.
それだけだ。
Oh, Jesus, Armin.
イエガーさん。
お前とは昔から喧嘩したことなかったよな。なんでかわかるか。
Jesus Christ.
お前と俺じゃ喧嘩になんねえからだよ。
もうやめて。
それで結局何が言いたかったんだよ。ミカサを傷つけることが君の求めた自由か。どっちだよ。クソ野郎に屈した奴隷は。
誰が奴隷だ。
Fucking hell.
行くぞ。
ジークの獣を他のやつに移す。イエーガー派とかいうのを一人でも捕らえて巨人にし、ジークを食わせてやれ。
Oh my god.
エルビン、あの日の誓いをようやく果たせそうだ。証明できる。
Fucking hell, Levi, man. Oh, he's fucking legging it. Oh, jeez. Fuck! All of them have had it. Jesus Christ! Oh my God, Levi! This is fucked. This is fucked.
なんだ今の。
一瞬体が痺れて。
俺も。
They felt it. Oh fucking hell! We need to know like who has it, who doesn't.
どうしたの？
やりやったな。ジーク。
How did Zeke not do it at that time, dude?
部下思いがあんたのことだ。
Christ. He does have it. Okay, right. I was.
ワインだと。どうして任務中に酒がいる？
Fuck. Because they just didn't know.
しか飲めなかったマーレさんの貴重なやつなんですよ。兵長。
ジークの脊髄液がワインにいつから仕込まれていやがった。
Yeah, that's mad how agile they are. Oh, Levi, man.
お前ら
Come on, Levi. You know it. That's not how it works. Whew. Using the same music as season 3 when the final charge. Look at the way that running.
自分たちには力がある、時間がある、選択肢がある。そう勘違いしてしまったことが、リヴァイ、あんたの過ちだ。ないだろう。
So you did really want them on side.
なあ、エレン。
But the wine was what,
俺
like,
たちにしかわからないよな。
a last resort? Oh, fuck! Easy already! Oh my god! Oh god, Zeke, oh god, I don't know if you can... I don't know if you survive this one, Zeke. Oh god! He always finds something to throw. Oh, dude, this is Levi's, like, playground right now. Oh my god!
部下たちはどうしたかわいそうに
必死だなヒゲ面
Oh my god! He's used up his
お前はおとな
distraction!
しく読書する以外なかったのに
Wow.
なんで勘違いしちまったんだ俺から逃げられるって
God!
部下を巨人にしてからって俺が仲間を殺せないと思ったのか
Oh shit! He has done the spears, dude! Oh my god! There's no way Levi's not just gonna kill him right now. Holy fuck!
ようヒゲ面てめえくせえし
He
汚
is
ねえし
fucked.
ブサイクじゃねえ
Levi. Oh yeah, he needs to be eaten. Okay, yeah, sorry. I'm, oh, fuck's sake, I forgot about that. Shit. Oh man.
分かったのか
はい。
I haven't seen him for a while.
巨人のうなじを切りつけるなんてな。もう巨人なんて襲ってこねえだろ。敵は壁外の人間なんだぞ。
時代はとっくに変わったってのにもう古いんだよシャーディス教官は。エルディアに希望があるとしたらイェーガー派が国の実権を握ることだ。非常な決断も下せるような強い指導者に。
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what Shardis thinks of that, because
突然ですが、この兵団支部は我々が占拠しました。イエーガー派とか言われている我々が。
身の程をよくわきまえているようだな、フロック。銃口でも向けない限り、貴様らのような小便小僧など、誰も相手にしないと考えているのなら、
これからは訓練兵諸君、君たちの時代だ。現在滅亡の危機にあるエルディアを救うために心臓を捧げると誓った。このまま時代遅れの兵団に従属していてはなすすべもなく外の世界の敵に蹂躙されるのみだ。
they basically want to build a militaristic, like, civilization on the island that, like, can stand up to the Earth's.
エルディアの未来のために心臓を捧げます。シャーディス教官を足腰立たなくなるまで痛めつけろ。
What?
これこそが我々が淘汰すべき悪臭そのものだ。粛清してみせよ。
That's
いい加減にしろフロック。バカな真似はよせ。
ハンズ。ひよっこどもが何人かかってきたところで相手にならん。
oh fucking hell.
よくやった。君たち全員を歓迎しよう。おい、行くぞ。
How did it come to this?
おい待て動くんじゃない。ダイソーの新刊をつなぐワイヤーをお前の首にくくってある。
Oh,
下手に動
jeez.
いたらお前は腹から爆発して
That's insane. That's an insane makeshift trap.
こうなると死なねえってのも難儀だな。てめえがゲロクソまみれで泣きわめくのも全て計画通りか。うるせえな。こうやって切っておかねえとてめえが巨人になっちまうだろうが。
Oh my god, Levi.
あ知るかよ。もうお前にメガネなんか必要ねえよ。
いい球を投げるようになったな。将来は野球選手になるか？
Who is that?
ダメだよ草バーさん僕には使命があるから。
Cassava? Who's that? Fuck! Ended already? Wow. Episode 14. I knew it was going to. I knew it was going to kick off. And damn fucking right it did. In some ways I didn't expect. At all. And as usual, I'm trying to think of where the fuck to start. I think what I'm going to start with is something that I did actually want to talk about after episode 12, I believe. Because it wasn't something that I actually thought of whilst I was watching episode 12. It was something that I had thought about later. That what if Zeke's plan actually comes from Grisha? You know? or at least whoever this Mr. Cassava is, I guess, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, there's in episode, God, it could be like episode 20, I think, of season 3, where Grisha's talking about how Zeke decided to go with his grandparents, and there was a third dude there, and I'm wondering if that's the guy, if that's Mr. Cassava. But I don't. It's just, this is the thing, that there's something like there's something that's not being. There's something that is remaining unsaid in regards to Zeke, right? And that's the thing, why it's always been a blur. But then in this show, we've always had the perspective of the Paradise lot learning, and it's always been a mystery. You know, I mean, that should be really one of the genres of the show, is mystery, because it's always trying to learn, you know, more about actually what is going on, because there's so much going on behind the scenes that you just don't get to see, and then all of it kind of comes to light at once. But I feel like that there's I'm guessing we're going to get that in the next episode, right? Whoever this Mr. Cassava is. That was brutal at the end, what Levi was doing to him, you know what I mean? There was a moment where, like, I was like, fuck, I'm feeling a bit sorry for him here, because, like I said, I don't, like, there's something being unsaid as the reason why they're going through so much to whatever this plan is, and that it's the only way. And it seems to all stem from whoever this Mr. Cassava is, you know. I'm wondering, like, there's so many thoughts going through my head about what it could be. Like, it could be a case of, like, because remember how there's always been this thing with the sort of like the, you know, the coordinate titan, and the king in the walls would, you know, mess with the memory of the people inside it, so that you know, they didn't think of anything outside the walls. What if all of this is just one big, like, what if all of that stuff that was in the past about, like, you know, the Titans and all of that, and Ymir and everything, all of that, what if all of that was just a bullshit lie? And that it's meant to have been passed down in some sort of memory that was a fake memory, almost. You know what I mean? Like, because it's one thing to just call it, like, you know, oh, it's you know, a pact with the devil or anything like that. But what if it's just purely, like, science driven, you know? Because the fact of, like, you know, it's injections and giving people DNA from other people, it just, maybe there's more science behind it than there is this idea of a pact with the devil at one point, right? And all of that, like, stems from, you know, Ymir. I guess the only thing is, like, the sort of, I guess, the magical element of it, like, you know, like fucking lightning from the sky and all of that. Like, how does that translate with science, right? So yeah, that could be a bit far-fetched. But it's just this idea that, like, it's the quote in this episode about how Zeke knows more about the Titans than, you know, anyone else, than the Malians or anything. So it's like, if this is the information that he's gotten from Mr. Cassava, what if he's, like, some kind of, you know, like, scientist who has all of the answers because he's the one that created it or something like that, you know? And if he is, that would mean that he's the true, like, you know, the coordinate is the one that controls all the others, but then what's he? I don't know. Like, what would he be capable of? You know? But that's just an out there theory that I just wanted to throw out there, just in case it does come true. But whatever the case, there's definitely more going on to the point of, like, Eren not giving up certain things. The one thing he has given up in this first scene, which was that was like a tough scene to get through. But like I talked about in last episode, it seems as though, like, there's this, like, it seems like he's pushing them away. You get what I mean? Which would fall in line with this idea of Eren being a martyr or a villain to so that the likes of Marley and Paradis can rally together and find that common ground to take him out, and then that is somehow achieves peace towards the end. But regardless of what the the reasoning behind it is, it still is tough to watch, because fucking hell, like, I would have never ever thought that it would have gotten to this point. I know that I said that, like, in, I don't know, I've probably said it previously in season 4. I'm pretty sure I said it in season 3. You know what I mean? Like, because the interesting thing about this show is that it goes to places you would never expected it to have gone. You know what I mean? It all goes back to, like, all the way back to episode 1, when it almost seems like it's just, oh, right, I get I understand what this show is. It's about humans fighting against the Titans. It's like humans versus monsters. And it's like, yeah, sure, that's got to be what it is, right? And then it opens up, like, to it goes down avenues you would just not expect it to have ever have gone down before. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that's, like, so good about the show, is that every single episode has something. Sometimes multiple times in an episode, will have something that'll just catch you off guard that you never even saw coming. You never even thought that could have been a thing. Like, and it keeps you so invested and intrigued the whole time. You know what I mean? It holds your attention. So, this is just another one of those things. And whatever the end goal is for whatever, the reason why Eren is being such a bastard to them, does fall in line with this idea that he's trying to make himself a martyr to hopefully then achieve peace. But you've got something like, he says, like, conflict isn't necessary. I thought he meant that as a broader spectrum across, like, everything happening at the moment. But the way it seemed to be towards, like, the end, was what he meant was conflict between us. Just them and the between Armin and Mikasa and Eren. And we got another that conversation that's been sort of, like, seeded a bit in previous episodes of, like, is Eren being manipulated by Zeke and Yelena? Because why on earth would Eren choose to go with them over his lifelong friends and, his own place? And Eren comes back and says, essentially, that he's not being manipulated, and that he is free, and that everything he's doing is from his own free will, because what he's always hated is slaves and, basically livestock, someone who people who aren't truly free. Now, this is the thing. There's something that Pixar said, like, some episodes ago when he was talking to Yelena about, do you know how to tell a good lie? You mix some truths in with it. You know what I mean? And there's been some of that sprinkled out throughout this, this episode with, with Zeke, and putting in, like, little lies, like, it knocks them out, right? And that they freeze up. A little lie sprinkled in there in the truth. And then I'm wondering if the same thing is happening with Eren, like, that things that he is saying there's sprinklings of like lies in there, and that's where I go on to like this idea that he says he's always hated slaves, and that idea of being a livestock. Now that is true, because in episode 1, like one of the first things he ever talks about is being like, you know, locked behind the walls like livestock and being like encaged, you know. But then he says stuff like, I've always hated you, Mikasa, which I feel like is a lie, purposely trying to push them away, right? Now, another thing is, by saying that, like, I think what he's trying to do is simultaneously, like, push them away, but also try and break this idea that Mikasa is always protecting Eren, right? It's another lie, it's another, like, you know, like, truth sprinkled in that, where he says, you know, because he mentions, I've always hated you, and there was all of that in, like, you know, in like, there was a bunch of it in season 1, where Mikasa would always try to protect Eren, and Eren would always, like, you know, fight back and not want to be protected. So that's a truth. But this whole thing of hating, that's a lie. That's a lie. And everything that he was saying to Mikasa, like, I just don't believe that Eren was sitting there not realizing that Armin was getting more pissed off and pissed off and pissed off. So I think it's like, it does seem like he is pushing them to grow that separation from, like, between Eren and then Armin and Mikasa, to keep them at a distance. He has to, I think he's trying to play a character more villainous that will end up being for the sake of them all, right? I talked about in the last episode about how I don't want to fucking spoil exactly what it's like, but, you know, for those who know this idea of somebody acting like the villain in order to achieve peace, like he's the big bad that you need to defeat, and then everyone else just, they come together as like an understanding that this is the real enemy, then you know what show it is, right? But it seems as though there's something, it seems like that's kind of what Eren is going for. So Armin gets more pissed off, and he basically travels across the, you know, straight over the table, which I like that. I like seeing Armin like that, you know, because he's not a violent person by nature, you know. But it is known that, like, you know, the more you care about someone, if they wrong you in a certain way, it feels like more like betrayal to a degree, and then therefore the situation can heat to a point where someone like Armin, who isn't very, you know, he isn't, like, you know, he's not a violent person, like, for him to, you know, go across almost like with the intention of, like, trying to smack some sense into him. So before he gets there, everything that Eren was saying, it seems like what he's saying, everything about it is true, and I actually do think that the whole thing with Mikasa wanting to protect Eren, I think, is actually true. I think that there is actually some truth to that, because that really does make sense about the headache and everything that they get. You know what I mean? When she's trying to, you know, she's trying to right herself, like it's almost like a fight between her Ackerman instincts to protect, but doing things of her own free will. I think that bit's true. So yeah, of course, Mikasa jumps in to stop Armin before, you know, he punches Eren. But she wasn't even thinking about it when she tried to stop him. You know what I mean? She didn't, like, try and hold him back. She literally, like, did it like a fucking, you know what I mean, like some kind of maneuver that you would do, like, just to, like, keep someone down that you're not, like, really good friends with, you know. So yeah, I think that whole thing with Mikasa basically at that point in time when, you know, Eren showed up and killed the dudes, that her Ackerman instinct like sort of kicked in, and now it's basically mistaken that Eren is the one that needs to be protected when really it's always been that Ackerman's protecting the king, and that, you know, so that there's like a sort of like a cross line there because Mikasa, you know, was grown up away from all of that. She wasn't grown up in the line of Ackermans that, you know, that took on that role. She was like away from it all. I'm guessing like her father must have been one to be like, I don't want this life anymore, and try to live out in the countryside like at peace. You know, so with Mikasa like not knowing anything about it and not knowing, you know, she has no reason to know even how to control it or anything like that. But it does bring up an interesting question, which is, what about Levi then? Because I've never seen like... It would be wrong to say I've never seen any protective instincts from him, because he's always trying to protect people, and, you know, harshly enough, he can never protect them, right? That's something that just keeps occurring with Levi, and it gets to him, you know. We saw it in the last episode where he's talking about, I've always protected Eren, and now it's come to this, and now it's like, me and me, what was it all for? You know, he couldn't protect basically his brother and sister that he grew up with. Of course, not blood related, you know, but they were close to pretty much being, you know, being family. He couldn't protect them. He couldn't protect all of the scouts that went out to charge. That wasn't, you know, primarily his doing. He couldn't protect his team in season 1 when they were killed by Annie. And in this episode, he couldn't protect his squad that he was with in that forest, you know? It's always a case like with Levi, it's something like, it's just like a cycle that repeats with him where he fails to protect people, and you see it like all the time on him. His emotions are very muted compared to everyone else. You know, like he's always like kind of been that way inclined. He doesn't, you know, he can like really give it more at times, you know, when he's like really fucking like really pissed off, you know. But I don't know. I mean, I wonder, you know, back to the original point, if there's anything in Levi's like, when does that kick in? Does it kick in those moments where he's failed to save someone? And then he just, you know what I mean? Like, he loses it. So instead of like, for Mikasa, it's a protection thing, right? With Eren, maybe it's like it works in a sort of different way with Levi, where like he kind of gives in to like sort of like that rage a bit, and that's how we see it with Levi. But yeah, I don't know. So anyway, Eren and Norman fight the first time that they've ever fought. And Eren says something like, he says something like, you want to know why, like, we've never fought before? And then he basically says, because it wouldn't have been a fair fight. Like, you see, it's jabs like that just make me think, like, there is no reason to say that. There is no reason. I mean, even Armin, and, you know, it's like, the reason why Armin's my favourite character is because, you know, he's a smart one. He picks up on things that others don't. One of the first things he ever says, he says, like, after the fight, is basically like, you know, so what was all this for? What, you just wanted to say that you're free just so that you had a chance to go at Mikasa? Almost like basically saying like, well, what was the point in any of that? You know, you're just putting someone down for, you know, reasons, you know, but for no reasons, I should say. I think it's because it just goes to, it makes me think that he's doing it on purpose to try and create that separation between them, you know, so that it doesn't hurt them as much when, you know, if he has to give his own life up for the sake of peace. You know, I've kind of just clutched on to this theory, and now it's just like, this is how it's going to be until I'm proven otherwise. That's normally what happens anyway, you know what I mean? I'm like, yep, I believe this is what it is, you know? But yeah, so it was such a great scene, I think, because it really outlined a lot of things as to why Mikasa is the way she is, you know what I mean? I remember back in season 1 when I was watching it, and the people like in the comments and everything, like there was this talk of like Mikasa being like one-dimensional because all she ever cares about is Eren and that's it. But this gives her like an actual story reason as to why she is that way inclined. And there could be a thing, I mean, I know we've only got fucking 2 episodes left, so I don't know how much there's good, like, it's gonna have to be like, obviously, actually I wouldn't even say a quick character development, because I think over the course of, you know, like maybe like the past 6 episodes, we've seen Mikasa sort of be a bit more distant from Eren, and she's mostly been around, you know, the group. So, you know, there is that. But that's the thing, is like, I just, everything that Eren is saying is completely the opposite of everything that he was saying when he was on the train, like, you know, a few episodes back. You know, so, and it's not just this thing of like, oh, well, he's got new information now, so it's all, you know, I feel like what he's doing is mixing in some truths in an overall lie, right? I'm holding on to that because I know this show is smart with its writing, and they don't just say anything, like, they don't just say things for the sake of saying things. You know, there's always a reason, so I think that makes sense to me. But yeah, it was a really, really cool scene. So not only is, like, you know, the Mikasa being manipulated by the Ackerman blood and everything in order to protect Eren, but also, like, he goes on with Armin about being manipulated by Berthold, because all of those feelings and everything drop down to the next carrier, and it's almost like are you even yourself anymore when you get them? You know, I mean, it's something that's interesting, but, like, you know, like in Game of Thrones there was this who was the character? Bran, right? Who, once he got all of this, like, sort of infinite knowledge and knew everything because he went to that dude with, like, you know, the World Tree or whatever the fuck it was, not the World Tree, but, you know, he went up north essentially to see the Raven dude or whatever. He became the Three-Eyed Raven, right? And ever since he got it, he became like a blank slate, like he had no emotions. And I feel like similarly, like that's kind of what happens with those, like, once they coming to Titan Shifter, specifically with Eren, because he's got so, like, he's got, you know, I mean, he's got 3 with him, so it's like he's got, like, more to fucking, you know, he's got more information, more to deal with, more fucking, you know, people, basically, you know. And the idea is that I'm like, Eren's coming up with his own free will thing, you know what I mean? But, I mean, essentially when he's talking about Armin being manipulated by Berthold, similarly, the same thing has to be happening with Eren, right? Unless Eren has figured out this way to kind of, you know, shut that off. But, like, you know, I don't know, maybe by being the coordinate you can do that, like, maybe it's, I don't know, but he hasn't talked about that or anything. We don't have any information even if that is a thing, so, you know. But yeah, I mean, it is interesting because that was something I was talking about, like, some episodes ago, about how the memories that Berthold has about, and stuff like Berthold's feelings for Annie has been, you know, affecting Armin's way of, you know. But there was always that little thing as well, as that, you know, with Armin and Annie always had this relationship beforehand, like all the way back in season 1 anyway. So it's something that can kind of, like, slip your mind if you know. So yeah, it's just like the minute details are really, really, really cool. So yeah, that's the fucking the Eren thing out the way. Like, we talked about that for a long time, but yeah, I mean, I thought it was just such a great scene. So much, like, there's so much substance in that scene. It was just really, really cool. And it's interesting that, like, you know, Gabby just sitting there, like, completely silent. Like, You know what I mean? I don't know how much she even took in from that conversation at all. You know, because she's still dealing with what happened last episode, and you know. But yeah, it's interesting. So next, we'll go with the Zeke and Levi stuff, because that's the next big thing. So yeah, Levi, he was going to go off on his own. He was going to do not even wait for orders or anything. Even if like Pixis would be like, no, you're not doing that, Levi was saying he's still going to do it. So, you know, Levi's at a point where he's just sick of it now, you know. And he's still got that promise to uphold to Erwin, you know, and so he went up to talk to him, you know, he's reading the book, everything like that, and he turns away, and I wonder, like, why aren't they just attacking him now, unless, you know, Levi just wanted to go. I don't know. Maybe just confirm his feelings about it, and then he would have given the order, and then everything would have happened. But Zeke apparently had figured out beforehand, like something about that, something about that talk must have told Zeke something. Like it must have like had a feeling that, like, okay, that he's going to kill me right now. I guess it's because why would Levi just randomly come up to me and ask me about my book or anything like that? That must have just been like, okay, this isn't right. And he was like, fine, I guess now's the time, and then ran off and then screamed. You know, which of course all of Levi's squad is affected because they all drank the wine. And you see that regret, like, in Levi's like eyes when he's like, "Oh, fuck's sake!" Like, what, you know what I mean? It's like you'll blame himself for giving them allowing them to have the wine when he could have told them, "Yeah, no, you're not." You know. So yeah, they all turn. Looked great. That looked really, really sick. So they all drop down off of the trees, basically right on onto Levi, right above him. Thank God he had his fucking maneuver gear ready. I don't know why I even said, like, in the reaction, does he have his maneuver gear? Because I imagine, of course, he would. Because at any time, you know, he never trusted Zeke, and at any time Zeke could do it, you know. So of course he would always have his maneuver gear on hand. But yeah, I love the mix of, you know, like getting the music that we've heard before, especially the one that is the charge in season 3, and having that, like, you know, come back at this moment in time, because it's like he's fighting, you know, alongside his comrades again, but in this situation they're coming to kill him, you know. And they ask that, you know, they ask that question for like a, you know, a minute period, that, you know, will Levi be able to kill those that, you know, that are his comrades? But you know what I mean, Levi at this point knows the difference. You know, but I like the fact that he hung there for just you know, just a bit, just to take it all in before going apeshit. And then of course, you know, we see Zeke being basically being escorted with these Titans that he's clearly gained more control, it seems like, you know what I mean. He had 3 Titans there, just like one of them carrying he's entourage, you know. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like what Zeke was saying, like in that sort of like monologue while that was all happening. He was talking about how, like, you know, power, time, choices. It's like, you know, you would, like, naive to think that you even had any of those. And it does make me think that, like, Zeke truly wanted people a bit, like, you know, he wanted Paradis to be on side with him. But they just took too long, and everything had to go a different way. So it makes me think that, like, the wine thing was like a backup plan. That was like a plan B if you know, they didn't come on side, or, you know, took too long, whatever. You know, but it seemed like Zeke really wanted them at least, you know, try and be on side with him, but it just clearly didn't work out that way. And that even if he was to explain at this point, like, you know, the reasons why they're doing what they're doing, you wouldn't believe me anyway. So, you know, it's kind of like a, you know, but yeah. So Levi comes, of course it does. Actually, first of all, yeah. So Zeke had set up a meeting point with Eren at some point, and I'm gonna have to guess that's Shiganshina, because that's where Levi said they were gonna go. You know, which I love the fact that Eren's like sort of you know, is like frozen carcass is still like there, and they've dug a gate out from it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just cool that that is still there. You know, and then as Levi does, comes out of nowhere, disposes of those 3 Titans in no time at all, and then we get Levi versus the Beast Titan again, and even like at that point, it's just like, you know that like there's no chance in hell that Zeke is going to beat Levi. There's no chance. You know, it just isn't going to happen, especially in that area. Levi like destroyed Zeke the first time round without any trees. He used Titans to get across to him, and then he used his own body, because of how massive it was, to take him down. And now he's in like home field advantage with trees everywhere. I love the use of like chopping off branches as like a fucking, like, it's like a distraction, and it covers Levi up. And he has thunder spears immediately right into the back of Zeke, which I noticed there is a hardened cover there, which he hasn't had before. So I'm guessing Eren has told him how to use, like, basically, because, you know, we know that Eren had figured that out, right, whenever he got that armor and whatnot. I wonder if they've exchanged, like, if Eren's given him some of, like, Zeke some of his spinal fluid to allow him to use this slightly, and that's what using it as a shield when he's in there. But even then, so it's like the Thunder Spear just got him straight out, and fucking hell, when he came out, he looked bad. God, he looked like, for a split second, I thought, like, fucking hell, is he dead anyway, you know? Because he just looked like, I mean, I don't even know how to describe it, like half decomposed, you know? Like, the skin was just like, it was so taut around his bones, like, God, that was a hell of an image. And yeah, me like a fool, I'm sitting there going, why, just kill him, just completely like too involved in what the hell was going on. Like, I was just part of the fight, just being like, oh, just kill him, right? And then just like forgetting, obviously they can't just kill him, because then, you know, some random Eldian will end up getting it. So, you know, they need to have him be eaten. And then at the end, you have Levi torturing him, which, fucking hell, it's just, oh god, that was brutal. Like, not even just cutting his limbs off in one, like slicing him up like further and further, like up the oh god, it's so, I did feel sorry for Zeke there, I really did. You know, and like the makeshift trap of the Thunder Spear that's attached to a rope around his neck, so that if he jostles, like, it'll go off. That's what makes that torture worse, is because he can't like wriggle like around. Like, you know, when if you cause injury to yourself, like, I don't know, if you stub your toe or something, like, you rub it to like try and, it's a weird instinctual thing that humans do, like rubbing, like, or like, you know, where you've hurt yourself, you know, like if you smack your elbow off the desk or something, and you go like that, it's like this idea that it'll even out the pain to a larger area, so it doesn't hurt as much. It's not so concentrated in one spot. So similarly, like, because he's got the Thunder Spear there as like a trap, he's getting cut up. He can't even like wriggle around, like he can't really move, because if he does that, there's a, you know, it's fucking Levi, man. That was brutal. That was brutal. But at this point, Levi, I think he's just, you know, Levi's just properly convicted now. Like, I remember when he let the Beast Titan get away the first time, and that he's like, his reaction was so like, it's almost like he didn't know what to do because he'd failed in the one thing that he was meant to do, you know. So I think like this time around, like he's not taking any chances this time around. So he's going to be ruthless. But I don't know. I don't see where this go. Like, I don't see who's gonna get what. The only one that we really know for sure right now, who I think will definitely get a Titan, will be Falco. I'm guessing possibly Gabby as well, but she needs time though, like as a without a Titan, because if she gets a fucking Titan shifter, like I mean I know I said last episode that I don't think she's going to be, you know, I don't see her having an outburst again, but I still think she's like too, she's too fragile right now. So you can't have her have it right now. If she gets one, then she has to get one when she understands, right? But Falco, I can see him getting one. The question is, does he get the Beast Titan? We don't know. I mean, that's another thing as well when we didn't talk about. So when Zeke turned them, it was actually felt by... So yeah, it obviously is based upon distance, but those that were outside of the range still felt it. They felt it like a shock. So Pixis is one of them. Obviously Falco's, you know, another. I don't think there was anyone else that like, of like in terms of character of like real importance. Maybe what's his name? The captain of the military police. His name begins with N, I think. He was Erwin's friend, right? I think he felt it as well. But yeah, so that it was a shock. So yeah, I mean, at any point, I mean, there was like a frame, like a couple frames, like earlier on in season 4, where for some reason there was just some frames that looked like Pixis was going to eat someone. Right, like he was a Titan and he was about to eat someone that was chained, that was tied up, and I talked about it for like, you know, a bit in the post discussion for whatever episode that was, and I said like, why does it look like Pixis for, you know? And I'm wondering like, was that just like a little, like a flash forward, like a vision of the future kind of thing? Because if Zeke goes again in range within Pixis is going to end up becoming one. So yeah, God knows. Yeah. So Keith Shadis got beat up. That sucks. But at least he understood the situation. And he didn't want to get Hanji in more trouble and everything like that. So he basically just took it. You know, like the badass he was. But fucking hell, like the differences between episode 3 of the first season, like where, you know, in like that episode where he's training the cadets back then to like now, and that he's still doing it, and just seeing the differences like in power. Like back then he was a military, like, you know, he was a, well, he was once the captain of the Scouts, right? But he basically just became this war general that's like, you know, hard but fair kind of thing, and you know, he's screaming in the cadets' faces and everything, and like everyone was scared of him. And then cut to now, and like he's just getting beat up by his own cadets. It's just sad, man. But yeah, I mean, you can feel like Hanji was just like, sort of like couldn't believe what the fuck's happening. Like, you know, it's like just what is happening right now. I really feel sorry for Hanji, because, you know, she's done nothing but have to shoulder responsibility for Jaeger this whole fucking, you know, this whole season. And it's constantly like she's getting shot on by like all fucking sides, and she's like, fuck's sake, it's like, what do I do? You know what I mean? It's like she's struggling to hold all of this, like, you know, responsibility that's just taken onto her own shoulders. And I think, like, when we saw her there just looking down at, like, you know, just being like, she's tired, you know. I really want to see how this comes to a head, and I wasn't even planning on reacting to episode 15 right now, but I think I'm going to. I think I'm going to, because I really want to see what next episode's about. So I think I am. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else. I don't think I missed anything crucial. Yeah, I don't think I did. I think I got everything that I wanted to talk about. So yeah, really, really cool. But anyway, that is the end of episode 14. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below, I have links to certain things. One of them is the Discord, so you can get yourself over there if you wish. And I also have a Patreon page as well. So if you do want to support me on Patreon, that'd be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards there, like early access, and give you access to shows a week early. There's the full length, which gives you access to the full length tier. The full-length reactions, you know, to all of the episodes and shows that I do, and then there's the exclusive tier, which gives you access to full-length movie reactions and everything like that as well. Okay, so if you like movies, that's the one for you. But yeah, nothing else really to talk about. So that's the end of episode 14. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.